As published on non-detail.com, why did China showcased aggression in Ladakh during pandemic? The situation seems to have de-escalated now. However, it is important for India to ask this question: why was there any aggression at all? Well, two questions: why and what? 1. Why? Why a conflict during pandemic? 2. What? What can India do from here? First, let me talk about why. Answering it in a single sentence, China tried to distract India's attention away from economy to national security and further deviated India's focus away from the sea to the Himalayas. And this is not the first time. This has been a very old strategy employed by China. Sometimes it does this through its client state Pakistan, or sometimes China does it directly. China has strategized this for three reasons. 1. China understands the value of Indian civilization. Both Chinese and Indian civilizations date back to thousands of years, and both have competed and flourished all through. So, China believes in the potential of India in competing for that coveted superpower spot. Especially aftermath of pandemic, when investments were looking for a safe haven and were gushing away from China. And, India being a huge market with a significant high human resource capital, it may have become a potential destination for the investments. Because, there is only one other nation on this earth that can provide similar scale that of China, and it is India. So, China was eager to distract India away from the question of economy to the national security. No investment would prefer a warmongering destination. And this is exactly how the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, tried to portray India as, so as to protect its investments. This is evident when we compare Chinese media and the India media covering the recent conflict. The state-controlled media in China has underplayed it, while in India it was everywhere and across all the media channels. So, idea was that, when stakes get higher on the Indian side, India will be pushed into a desperate situation. Then it may lead into actions that are not in India's right interest. Also, the investments that were to come into the nation might just get diverted away, as investments look for stability. China also wanted to deviate India away from the sea to the Himalayas. India is a superior sea power when compared to China. India had an aircraft carrier well before China did, and even today India is a dominant naval force. While sea trade is of utmost importance to China for its oil supplies and exports with the Middle East and Europe. It has an ongoing conflict with Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam in the South China Sea. China is already gripping under sea conflicts with many nations in South China Sea. So, China wants to ensure that India is not added to this list, and India's naval power is weakened by less investments due to diversion of focus and funds towards ground forces, resulting in a weakened force not strong enough to cut the China's trade routes, if ever India gets into this sea conflict. In 2016, almost 80% of China's oil imports passed through the South China Sea via the Strait of Malacca. India and Indonesia can block Malacca Strait whenever they want. Realizing which, China has been investing heavily on Belt and Road Initiative. Hence, China always tries to divert India away from sea to the mountains. China believes that it's destined to lead the world as it did during the medieval times. This philosophy is somewhat true within India as well, wherein a section of Indian society believes in Akhand Bharat and a Vishwa Guru Bharat. But in India, due to its democracy and its multi-party system, this idea remains as an idea and is restricted to the section which believes in it. Whereas in China, due to its single-party closed system, whatever CCP, Chinese Communist Party, believes would become the state's ideology. Apart from these, the PRC, People Republic of China, believes its time has now come to lead the world under Xi Jinping, the tall leader of China after Mao Zedong. This has been apparent with China flexing its muscle with all its neighboring nations and with the US. This is reflective in the art form as well, like the movie Wolf Warrior, the biggest action movie of China. China's very own Rambo, which was released during the heights of the Cold War. Some experts believe what China is indulging now is the Wolf Warrior diplomacy, which is aggression at all fronts. Xi Jinping has successfully cultivated hyper-nationalism among the Chinese audience through apps that talk about him and his vision, through certain syllabus on his thoughts being covered in schools, and through billboards across China. And even the Communist Party of China has all through brainwashed its citizens that supporting Chinese Communist Party, CCP, is equivalent of supporting the nation. CCP through its companies have signed the Belt and Road Initiative with about 70 countries, which in many ways is like the East India Company signing trade deals with India and other Asian countries on behalf of the Queen. I say this because the East India Company used force to colonize while the CCP's Belt and Road Initiative has coerced the countries into debt trap and then taken over a port in Sri Lanka, had negotiated with Kenya to enforce Chinese law in a certain region of Kenya, pushed Ecuador to sell oil at discounted rates. It has bribed its way through the leadership in these countries to gain these negotiations, like how East India Company had bribed some Indians to win certain wars in India to establish the colonial rule.